Okay, so apparently I made the unit a little too complex right there as the video was running out of time. You're going to probably get an error message. Apparently you can't go with that many sides. Just go ahead and dump a new one in there and cut it in half. Do 64 sides instead. Uh, Once you do that, just kind of place it over this way a little bit. Mark all the seams, do the smart unwrap and all that, and go ahead and export it. Once you do that, hop on over to Unreal, and again, I apologize about that. This is another one of those limitations that Blender has sometimes. In this case, again, we made it so complex that it just couldn't export it. At least that's as far as I can see. The error message didn't really make any sense to me. So I'm going to import tutorial UVB, import all, and that did not work. Delete. We're going to go File, Export, FBX. Maybe because I'm in edit mode. File, Export, FBX, selected objects, tutorial A, no, not A, B. Export FBX. That was tutorial A. That's tutorial B. Okay, there we go. Anyway. So, one thing we can do in order to make something really complex without having to sacrifice having to work in two different ones and trying to figure out how things line up is you can actually just go ahead and make them all in Blender under one window, but then export them separately. And the reason I had you guys leave the faces off is because I wanted to show you an example of something. Let's see here. And you should notice now that well, if I exported it right, it wouldn't have done that. File, export, FBX. You may have this on the 7.4. If you do, put it back over 6.1. That's kind of what happened for me, and that's why the pinpoint or the pivot point's off a little bit. There we go. That should fix it so that the two line up. There you go. You can see how once I get this together, now if I select one or the other, they're now sitting on top of the same pivot point. You can do the same thing, of course, by coming over here and just manually editing the XYZ until they're sitting in the same point. So now I've made something, and again, you'll notice that I didn't have a material assigned to that, but it just go ahead and imported this blank white material. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I've tried to find ways around it, but it doesn't seem to work. So if we go to Edit, hit Apply, go to UV, and now you can see there's a nice handy UV map. So this is one way you can do that. You can also go ahead, if you have never done much placing of the meshes, you can select both of them. You can cycle spacebar key if you didn't know that, and that's what I keep doing because I'm used to Blender and I keep going back and forth. You can hit the right-click mouse and hit Group, and that'll make them all grouped up together. So now they all share one vertex. The only stink about doing that way is it's going to change the pivot point, so you kind of have to plan everything around that. I kind of would suggest starting with the base corner where you think it's going to be, and then kind of moving it around and playing with it until you get it there. Anyway, we're going to right-click. We're going to ungroup it. Now I'm going to drag this piece out a little bit. Oh, nope. You can go over here. Okay, so let's say you wanted to be able to wrap a texture around something, but you don't want to have to deal with another face. You don't want it to continue around it, or you don't need it to do that. It's actually going to make your texture look weird or have a problem with it. Just smush it up, or it's going to be really impossible to make it look right. You can delete faces, and you'll notice it gives you these kind of like a BSP hole, like if you deleted a BSP face. That's one way you can make things a little more simple. Some of these tech panels, as an example, that are over here have no back. As you can see right through it, and that's because those faces are all deleted. In case you were wondering why everything's kind of laid out, it was this way as I went through the level. I can kind of see, ooh, I like that. Ooh, I think that's going to work good over here. Oh, okay, that didn't really fit really well. So anyway, that's kind of why that's laid out that way. That's just kind of my corner on how to lay everything out. So that's kind of the basics of how that works, and that's how your UV mapping is going to work. Uh, Remember, re-import. Once you get an import, go into edit. Make sure the UV maps are unchecked. Always double check your UV map. Make sure it looks right. Don't forget to go in here and assign whatever material it is, whatever one you're creating outside of it. Again, I'm going to put a link at the bottom as soon as I figure out where it's at. I think there may be a video or either that or a just a simple text walkthrough on how to export this as a PNG or some other JPEG or whatever it is you're wanting to work with file so that you can work with it. And then you can make your own materials and import them. All right, well, I hope you guys have all learned, guys and gals have all learned quite a bit about this, and you know a lot more, and you know how to fix all those annoying little error messages that you get when you're trying to go from this program to the other. There is one that I have seen, and this is erroneous. Um, just wanted to touch base on that. If you go here to this little triangle, you'll see this is where the UV maps are. A lot of them are going to say to add another UV map and then drop it all into here and just select this one and put that only on the second map. It's not going to work. Unreal, when it imports, just says, okay, here's the UV maps, okay, here's the cylinders, and it just puts them all into one map. It's not going to distinguish between the two of them. Again, I'm pretty sure there is a way, and I know there's a technical term because I've been trying to do some research on it, to be able to assign more than one UV channel to it and export and import and all that. I think it may only be with Maya that you can do that. Again, I'm not sure. Once I figure out how all that works, I'll put up a video or a reply or something at the bottom of the YouTube channel itself so you can see that. Anyway, if you all have any questions, anything that you felt might have got left out or anything that needs to be added or a follow-up video that you think I should do, feel free to drop something in and say, hey, this is something I figured out that you may have left off. Just, again, put a comment at the bottom, send me an email, contact me on the Unreal forums. I frequent the UV tutorial that this is going to be pinned on quite often, and I've been trying to keep tabs just about every day looking at the comments. So if you have any problems, questions, or anything else, just feel free to look me up, talk on there, and give me your input. Thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you learned something.